Amid the hustle and commotion of a bustling market, a young German shepherd sat tethered to a post, his fur unkempt, his eyes filled with sadness. Among the crowd, a 5-year-old girl named Emily noticed him instantly. The sight of the lonely, neglected dog tugged at her heart, and with wide, pleading eyes she turned to her mother. "Mom, look at him. He looks so sad. Can we help him?" she begged. Victoria, her mother, followed her daughter's gaze and let out a soft sigh. Emily had always shown a deep sensitivity toward animals, especially those in need. "Okay, sweetie, we can take a look," she said, holding her hand as they walked toward the dog. Emily crouched a few feet away, extending her small hand gently. "Hi there, boy," she whispered. The dog sniffed the air cautiously, his ears twitching, at the unfamiliar voice. Slowly, Emily edged closer. "You're not alone anymore," she murmured. Victoria watched closely. She knew Emily had a special connection with animals, but this dog seemed especially vulnerable. "Be careful, honey. He might be scared," she warned. Emily nodded but kept her focus on the dog. Spotting a vendor nearby who seemed to be the owner, she stood up and walked over. "Excuse me, sir, is this your dog?" she asked. The vendor barely spared her a glance. "Yeah, but he's no good. Nobody wants him. Just takes up space," he muttered. Emily's heart ached. "May I pet him?" she asked. The vendor shrugged indifferently. Without hesitation, Emily returned to the dog, gently stroking his fur. To her amazement, he didn't flinch or pull away. Instead, he leaned into her touch, his tail giving the faintest wag. She smiled. A bond was forming. For weeks, Emily and her parents visited the market, spending time with the dog she had named Thor. Each time he seemed to recognize her more, his eyes lighting up at her arrival. Seeing their daughter's unwavering attachment, Victoria and her husband John started discussing the possibility of adopting him. They knew it wouldn't be easy. Thor needed medical attention and a lot of patience. But seeing Emily's determination, they finally approached the vendor with an offer. The man, eager to rid himself of what he called a useless dog, agreed readily. Emily's heart leapt. Carefully, she unchained Thor and led him toward their car. "You're coming home with us now," she whispered. On the ride home, Emily sat close, stroking his fur gently. Thor rested his head on her lap, a silent gesture of trust. What Emily didn't realize was that saving him was just the beginning of a remarkable journey. Bringing Thor home filled the family with joy, but the challenges quickly became apparent. His fur was matted, his ribs visible beneath his coat, and his past left deep emotional scars. He flinched at sudden movements, cowered at loud noises, and hesitated before approaching adults. But Emily never gave up. She spent every moment she could by his side, reading him stories, talking about her day, simply being there. Slowly, Thor began to trust again. He leaned into her touch, followed her around the house, and even wagged his tail now and then. Yet his unpredictable behavior worried her parents. Seeking help, they contacted Dr. Louise Taylor, an animal behaviorist specializing in trauma cases. Dr. Taylor observed Thor carefully. "This dog has endured a lot," she said thoughtfully. "His reactions stem from deep-rooted fear. He needs stability, patience, and consistent training." She developed a rehabilitation plan emphasizing positive reinforcement and gentle exposure to new experiences. It was a slow process. Some days, Thor responded well, even playing fetch with Emily. Other days, fear gripped him and he withdrew. But one afternoon, something incredible happened. Emily was playing in the yard when Thor trotted up to her, a ball in his mouth, tail wagging furiously. It was the first time he had ever initiated play. Her heart soared as she threw the ball, and he chased after, barking joyfully. Victoria and John watched from the porch, sipping iced tea. The journey had been long, but Thor was healing. Then, a sudden noise shattered the peace. A loud backfire from a passing car startled the neighbor's cat, sending it sprinting across the yard. Instinct took over. Thor bolted after it, barking wildly. "Thor, stop!" Emily called, chasing after him. In the chaos, she didn't notice the car speeding down the street. Victoria and John's hearts pounded as they saw their daughter running toward danger. "Emily, stop!" they screamed. But their voices were drowned out by the roaring engine and barking dog. Sorry for the interruption. Before we continue with the story, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Your support means so much to us. Now, back to the story. In that split second, Thor's instincts kicked in, not as a frightened rescue dog, but as Emily's protector. He turned sharply, his eyes locking onto her as the car bore down on them. With incredible speed, he lunged forward, knocking Emily out of the vehicle's path just in time. The car screeched to a halt, the driver's face pale with shock. Victoria and John rushed to their daughter's side, their breath caught in their throats. She was dazed but unharmed, clinging to Thor, who stood protectively over her. He nuzzled her gently, licking her face as if to reassure her that she was safe. From that moment on, Thor's place in the family was undeniable. His courageous act changed the way Victoria and John saw him. He was no longer just a rescue dog with a troubled past. He was a loyal protector, a beloved family member, and willing to go to great lengths to keep them safe. One day, during a walk, Thor suddenly tensed. His body stiffened, and a low growl rumbled from deep in his chest. Emily followed his gaze and froze. A man was approaching. It was the same vendor from the market who had once neglected and chained Thor. The man's eyes narrowed as he recognized the dog. "So, that's where you ended up," he sneered, his voice sharp and cold. Emily instinctively tightened her grip on Thor's leash, feeling the tension radiating from him. But she took a deep breath, determined to stand her ground. "Thor is my dog now," she said firmly. "You can't take him back." The man scoffed, his voice dripping with arrogance. "He was mine first," he retorted. "You had no right to take him." Emily didn't waver, her voice steady. "You didn't take care of him," she replied. "He deserved better." The man took a step closer. Thor growled fiercely, positioning himself between Emily and the man, his stance protective. Undeterred, the man threatened to call the authorities, accusing her of stealing his dog. Emily's heart pounded, but she stood her ground. "Go ahead," she shot back. "We have proof of how you treated him. You won't get him back." The vendor glared at her, then muttered under his breath before turning away. Emily let out a shaky breath and knelt beside Thor, wrapping her arms around him. "It's okay," she whispered. "He won't hurt you ever again." The encounter rattled Emily, but it also strengthened her resolve. She knew she had to stay vigilant and protect Thor from anyone who might try to take him away. That night, she told her parents about what had happened. Victoria and John reassured her that they would stand by her and make sure Thor remained safe. A few weeks later, their town hosted a pet fair and dog show. It was the perfect opportunity for Emily's family to celebrate Thor's progress and enjoy a fun day together. When they arrived, the fairgrounds were filled with excitement. Booths lined the park, offering pet supplies, treats, and information on animal care. The air buzzed with laughter and happy barks as dogs of all shapes and sizes mingled with their owners. Emily's excitement grew when she spotted a booth showcasing an agility and tracking demonstration. Her eyes sparkled with enthusiasm. "Can we try this, Mommy?" she asked, looking up at her mother with hopeful eyes. Victoria smiled. "Why not? Let's see if Thor wants to give it a shot." A friendly instructor greeted them. "Would you like to see if your dog has any hidden talents?" he asked. Emily nodded eagerly. The instructor led them to the agility course, which featured tunnels, jumps, and weaving poles. "Let's start with a few simple drills and see how Thor does," he suggested. Emily led Thor to the starting line, her heart pounding. She had never tried agility training with him before, but she had a feeling he might surprise everyone. Kneeling beside him, she whispered, "You got this, boy. Ready?" Thor's ears perked up, and he wagged his tail eagerly. As soon as Emily gave the signal, he bolted forward with incredible speed. He soared over the jumps effortlessly, wove smoothly through the poles, and dashed through the tunnels with precision. The crowd gasped in awe, watching as Thor completed the course faster than anyone had expected. Emily beamed with pride. She had always known Thor was special, but seeing him shine on the agility course was beyond her wildest dreams. News of Thor's hidden talent spread quickly. People who had once dismissed him as just a rescued dog now saw him as a star. Trainers and agility clubs approached Emily's family, eager to help Thor reach his full potential. The discovery of his natural ability opened up a world of new possibilities. With encouragement from the community, they began training with a local agility club. Thor's progress was astounding. He quickly became a favorite among the trainers, impressing everyone with his skill and enthusiasm. But just as their excitement grew, an unsettling problem arose. The vendor from the market had seen Thor's success. Emboldened, he escalated his threats. He began showing up at the park during their training sessions, shouting that Thor belonged to him and that he would take him back, by any means necessary. Emily's parents grew increasingly worried. For their daughter's safety and Thor's well-being, it was time to take legal action. They reached out to a lawyer who specialized in animal rights cases. During their initial consultation, Miss Patterson, a sharp and compassionate attorney, listened carefully to their story. "You have a solid case," she assured them. "The key is to gather as much evidence as possible of Thor's past mistreatment and demonstrate how well he's doing under your care." Determined, Victoria and John got to work. They collected everything they could: photographs of Thor's condition when they first rescued him, showing his matted fur, protruding ribs, and sorrowful eyes. They compiled vet records documenting his health improvements and gathered testimonials from neighbors, friends, and trainers who had witnessed his incredible transformation. They weren't just fighting to keep their dog. They were fighting for the justice he deserved. Emily was determined to help in any way she could. She poured her heart into a letter, describing her unbreakable bond with Thor and the incredible transformation he had undergone. "Thor is my best friend," she wrote with heartfelt sincerity. "He saved my life, and I love him deeply. Please don't let anyone take him away from me." The legal battle was daunting, and the looming court case weighed heavily on their hearts. To make matters more intense, the local agility competition was fast approaching, an event where Thor could truly shine and further prove how well he had adapted to his new life. Despite the tension, Emily and Thor continued training. Every time, she caught sight of the previous owner lurking nearby. Her heart pounded, but she drew strength from her love for Thor and her determination to keep him safe. Finally, the day of the competition arrived. The atmosphere buzzed with excitement as dozens of dogs and their owners gathered to compete. As Emily waited for their turn, she spotted the man standing on the sidelines, his glare fixed on them. She took a deep breath and focused on Thor. "We can do this," she whispered gently, "just like we practiced." When the announcer called their names, Emily and Thor stepped onto the course with unwavering determination. A hush fell over the crowd, anticipation thick in the air. With a single hand signal, Thor sprang into action. He soared over the jumps, wove through the poles with lightning precision, and raced through the tunnels with grace that left the audience breathless. As they crossed the finish line, the crowd erupted into thunderous applause. Emily beamed with pride, and Thor wagged his tail excitedly. The competition's judges were clearly impressed. One of them, a renowned dog trainer, approached Emily with a warm smile. "You and Thor make an outstanding pair," he said. "He's an exceptional dog, and you've done an incredible job training him." But the biggest challenge was still ahead. The day of the hearing finally arrived. Emily gripped Thor's leash tightly as they entered the courtroom. The previous owner sat across from them, scowling and muttering under his breath. Miss Patterson presented their case with confidence. She meticulously laid out the evidence: photos of Thor's condition when he was rescued, veterinary records, showing his health improvements, and testimonials from trainers, friends, and neighbors who had witnessed his remarkable progress. Then Emily's letter was read aloud. Her words carried through the courtroom, raw with emotion. Many in the audience wiped away tears, moved by the depth of her love for Thor. Finally, the judge turned to the previous owner. His gaze was firm. "The evidence clearly shows that Thor was neglected and abused under your care," he stated. "He has thrived with his new family, and it is in his best interest to remain with them." The man protested, but the judge silenced him with a single decisive look. "Your behavior has demonstrated that you are unfit to care for this dog," the judge declared. "The court rules in favor of Emily's family. Thor will remain with them permanently." A wave of relief washed over Emily as she threw her arms around Thor. He was finally safe. Truly, permanently safe. But the story didn't end there. Following the hearing, the judge ordered an investigation into Thor's former owner. What was uncovered shocked everyone and galvanized the entire community. It was revealed that the man had a long history of animal mistreatment. Several other animals had suffered under his care, and witnesses came forward with chilling testimonies of his cruelty. The local news picked up the story, and soon it spread like wildfire. Public outrage surged. Neighbors, friends, and even strangers rallied behind Emily and her family, determined to ensure that the man would never be able to mistreat another animal again. Thor's story had started as one of hardship, but it became one of hope, a testament to resilience, love, and the power of second chances. Have you ever rescued an animal from a difficult past? Do you believe in the power of love and patience to heal even the deepest wounds? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more inspiring tales. Thank you for listening, and see you in the next video. Have a wonderful day.